Hello, I'm Jack Bolden, and this is my presentation on General James Jimmy Doolittle. So, in his early life, he was born in Alameda, California, and it's a small town just outside of San Francisco. And his father left when he was just an infant to capitalize on the gold rush that was taking place in Alaska. And his mother and Jimmy followed him to Alaska at the age of 2. Then at 12, Jimmy and his mother moved back to California into Los Angeles, where Jimmy took up boxing. And that's something he really excelled in. During his time also in Alaska, he was a very outdoorsy type of person and was also often found picking up scrapping and fighting, which I guess makes sense because there's not much else to do in Alaska. But when he took up boxing back in California, he excelled and he won an amateur boxing championship at the age of 16. And then after he graduated high school in 1914, he enrolled at LA Junior College before transferring to the University of Cal Berkeley and studied 3 years there to become a mining engineer. So at the start of his military career, it was towards the end of World War One. He left college, as it says right there, in October of 1917 to enlist as a flying cadet. And 2 months later, he would actually marry his high school sweetheart. So a very quick turnaround there. And then early into 1918, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant into the Signal Corps Aviation Section. And that's right when World War One ended, so he wouldn't get to see any action. That was something he actually really looked forward to, and one of the main reasons he joined the military. But he didn't get to see action in World War One. And then in July of 1920, he received his first regular commission while he took mechanical and aeronautical engineering courses. This is something he loved to stay involved in. He was taking as many courses as he possibly could, and we'll see throughout his career that he was really a pioneer in the aviation industry. And he continued to train his flying abilities and got in trouble for a couple different reckless stunts, but one of the ones that stands out the most is he was walking on the wings of an airplane mid-flight and he got grounded right after that, got into some trouble, and then really turned it around and just focused on solely piloting and became a very, very accomplished pilot thanks to the hours of practice he put in. And so now, over the next 15 years of his life, he got numerous achievements. So I'm just going to go through some of those. The first cross-country flight in a DH-4 Liberty in 1922. This was actually the only American-built aircraft in World War One. And I think it was just the only one period. And he also set the record for the fastest seaplane ever flown at 232 miles an hour in 1925. He became the first person to perform a maneuver called the outside loop, which required diving, bottoming out upside down, and then climbing back up to complete the loop. And he helped develop the first horizontal and vertical gyroscopes that are used universally now in 1928. There was a couple different people that helped him out with that. It wasn't just solely him, but he had a big part in it. And then he used those inventions to do the first blind takeoff, flight, and landing with just the instruments in 1929. And some more of his achievements, he left active duty to join the Shell Oil Company, where he led the push for high octane fuel in airplanes, which was big. And he set the world's high speed record for racer planes on land, going 296 miles an hour. He was also transferred to the Air Corps Reserve and became the president of the Institute of Aeronautical Science. And now his primary military career, what he's mainly known for, in 1940, he went back on active duty to work with auto manufacturers to convert their plants to produce airplanes that were needed for World War II. And less than a month after the December 7th, 1941 attacks on Pearl Harbor, he was selected by an Army general to lead the planning on the first aerial attack on Japanese mainland. Doolittle then volunteered to actually lead the attack and fly in it. And on April 18th, 1942, him and 15 other B-25 bomber crews took off from an aircraft carrier to carry out the attack. And after dropping their bombs, the 16 air crews realized they weren't going to make it back to their initial landing destination. And all but one crew had to ditch their planes, and many crews didn't survive. But Doolittle had to crash land, and he actually got retrieved by Allied forces and returned home. And further into his military career, a day after the attack, he was advanced 2 ranks to brigadier general. And a month later, he received the Medal of Honor from Franklin D. Roosevelt. And he accepted it on the behalf of the Doolittle Raiders, which is what he's famously a lot known for now. And by the end of the war, his efforts got him his third star to become a lieutenant general. In now his later years, he helped organize the Air Force Association and became the organization's first president. He officially retired on February 28th, 1959. And in 1958, or in 1985, excuse me, he was given full general status by Congress, making him the first Air Force Reserve history to receive 4 stars. And in 1989, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and he's the first and only American to be awarded the highest military and civilian honor. So that's a pretty big deal. And so that'll do it. There's my sources. Thank you.